Your age makes the choice of your vice president all the more important. Why do you think Senator Harris would be ready to step in and become commander-in-chief if something were to happen to you?
Number one, her values. Number two, she is smart as a devil. Number three, she has a backbone like a ramrod. Number four, she is really principled. And number five, she has had significant experience in the largest state in the union, running the Justice Department. It's only second in size to the United States Justice Department. And, obviously, I hope that never becomes a question.
That was from my 60 Minutes interview with then-candidate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in 2020, laying out why he says Harris was the right choice for VP. Biden's career goes back more than 50 years to 1972 when he was elected as one of the youngest senators. CBS's Major Garrett has a look back.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
Joe Biden's presidency began on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, where only days before, America bore witness to insurrection.
We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities.
The day before he was inaugurated, Biden marked 400,000 U.S. COVID-19 deaths. Less than 5 weeks later, he mourned 500,000 American casualties.
That's more lives lost to this virus than any other nation on earth.
Biden's gesture illustrated an unadorned empathy that flowed through his entire political life, an emotive approach that seemed to fit a fitful time.
To heal, we must remember. It's hard sometimes to remember. But that's how we heal.
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. was born in 1942. When the economy collapsed in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and his father lost his job, the Bidens moved to Delaware.
My dad had an expression. He said, Joey, it's not a question of succeeding whether you get knocked down, it's how quickly you get up.
Biden played football at the University of Delaware and attended law school at Syracuse University. By 1972,
if you like what you see, help me out. If not, vote for the other fellow.
He was elected to the United States Senate as a long shot, tell it like it is, 29-year-old.
I think one of the reasons I won is they have more confidence in me than with other people that I will say what I think.
Weeks later, his wife Nelia and their daughter were killed in a traffic accident that also injured sons Beau and Hunter.
I felt like a piece of me died.
Biden took the oath of office in a hospital. A single-father senator, Biden commuted from Wilmington to Washington aboard Amtrak to be home with his kids at night. He met Jill Jacobs, a teacher, on a blind date in 1975. They married 2 years later.
Everyone knows I love her more than she loves me.
My name is Joe Biden. I want to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
He ran for president in 1987, but dropped out after being accused of plagiarism. A year later, he suffered 2 brain aneurysms, but would later write he had no fear of dying.
Judge Thomas.
Biden chaired the Clarence Thomas Supreme Court confirmation hearing in 1991, and during the 2020 campaign, he apologized to Anita Hill, who accused Thomas of sexual harassment, but faced scrutiny and hostility.
To this day, I regret I couldn't come up with a way to get her the kind of hearing she deserved.
He drafted the 1994 crime bill. It pushed crime down, but incarceration rates up.
Hi, Penny. I'm Joe Biden, running for president.
His 2008 White House campaign went nowhere.
The vast majority of the people in Iowa haven't made up their mind yet.
When they did,
Joe Biden!
Barack Obama named Biden his running mate. In the White House, Biden oversaw stimulus spending and jumped ahead of the president by endorsing gay marriage.
What this is all about is a simple proposition. Who do you love?
Biden told President Obama to wait for better confirmation before launching the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Memorably, he said this about the passage of Obamacare. Biden was known for verbal gaffes, some innocent.
We choose truth over facts.
Others less so.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Biden passed on another run for the presidency in 2016 after his son Beau died of brain cancer. In 2020, he finished 4th in Iowa, 5th in New Hampshire, but bounced back to win South Carolina.
So all those who have been knocked down, counted out, left behind,
let me say to you, this is your campaign.
For months, as the pandemic worsened, Biden stumped virtually from his basement.
This is a war against this virus.
Let me introduce to you.
Biden made history by picking California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate, the first woman of color nominated by a major party.
Kamala knows how to govern. She knows how to make the hard calls. She's ready to do this job on day one.
That November, Biden defeated President Trump by 7 million votes, and he brushed aside Mr. Trump's false claims of fraud and prepared to bring the pandemic to heel. In his first 100 days, Mr. Biden accelerated vaccine distribution and strong-armed a $2 trillion COVID relief plan through a Congress with slender Democratic majorities. Mr. Biden, the first pre-baby boom president since 1993, approached the nation as a soft-spoken healer, but governed more progressively even than President Obama. A career politician soaked in Washington for some 50 years, Mr. Biden made his presidency a transition between the nation's older, racially calloused past and its softer, youthful, and more inclusive future.
We have shown each other and the world that there's no quit in America. None. The Honorable Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Biden appointed the first black woman to the Supreme Court.
Okay, here we go.
And signed a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill into law.
Bravo.
However, a chaotic withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan, coupled with inflation concerns and doubts about his comparatively lenient border policies, yielded unrelenting low approval ratings. Throughout his bid for re-election, Biden fought hard and spent tens of millions of dollars just to try to stay tied in the polls with former President Trump.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
After what many in his campaign and top Democrats regarded as a disastrous first debate performance, Biden could not stop the erosion of support among lawmakers and top donors. After ignoring pressure to drop out for more than 3 weeks, Biden announced his exit from the race shortly after the Republican National Convention. Biden frequently embraced optimism for America, and at times it sounded like his own internal fight against those who bet against him.
We are the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. And let's stay together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Biden, in the end, was persuaded to preserve his legacy rather than risk defeat for himself and Democrats nationwide. Steeped in the hard realities of Washington, Biden learned that loyalty and power, even when you are president and the presumptive party nominee, can slip away when the political tides and those closest turn against you.
That was CBS's Major Garrett. Want to bring in Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan. And even though the president is now not seeking a second term, he has a critical week ahead here in Washington, and yet he's still isolated at home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, battling COVID.
He is, but he is still the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the world, the most influential diplomatic power in the world. We know that his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was shifted a day later, now expected to happen Tuesday here in Washington. The vice president also expected to be present for that. All the national security team has been focused on trying to deliver in the next few days a 6-week ceasefire with the release of hostages to bring 5 Americans home, more than 100 hostages entirely, and have that be a rolling end to the war. This just shows you, though, how much time Joe Biden and his team have spent trying to break through on the foreign policy front. This is so important to him and his legacy, as he is now in these, as we know, final months trying to shape it. He wants to be able to deliver on this the same way that he can stand up there and say he expanded NATO when Vladimir Putin went and invaded Ukraine. So these are key legacy-making next few weeks for him. And Wednesday, we see that joint address to Congress by the Israeli Prime Minister.
The business of the presidency continues, and now a new person to lead the Democrats' campaign and that effort underway by Kamala Harris to secure that nomination.